Hey everyone, what's going on? It's Friday, June 12th, 2015, and it's time to vlog. Alrighty, I know a lot of you are expecting me to cover a lot of the E3 leaks, rumors, all the big things that are happening behind the scenes, considering the trade show is only a couple days away, but I'm not going to get on camera and do that in today's video, considering, well, E3 is just a couple of days away. As I do with every E3 year, you guys can expect conference video recaps and an overall recap video towards the end of next week. But till we get to that point, let's vlog. Not a whole lot of stuff to cover in today's episode. We got a lot of things that were more or less confirmations of things we heard before, but nonetheless we got a lot of good stuff. So first and foremost, I don't think that this shocked anyone, considering, well, we've been speculating on it for a very long time, but yes, it has been confirmed by Bandai Namco Games. Tales of Zestiria will indeed be releasing on the PlayStation 4 and PC. Nigga, we made it. Again, no big shock to anyone, considering that this was something that was kind of teased a while back. I believe it was in Tokyo Game Show 2014. Baba said they were actively exploring the possibilities of putting Tales of Zestiria on the current generation consoles. And to add even more fuel to the fire, there were a couple of Steam database listings that listed Tales of Zestiria. And if that wasn't bad enough, we saw pre-orders pop up on Best Buy for the PlayStation 4 version. And if that wasn't bad enough, we saw pre-order listings on Bandai Namco's own website highlighting PlayStation 4, PlayStation 3, and the release date. And yeah, it's been confirmed. Awesome, sweet, amazing. I was expecting them to do this at the Tales Of Festival, since it was a couple of days ago, but they didn't. They actually just announced it in a blog post, which was pretty weird. I was thinking they were going to wait towards E3 because, I mean, when you look at Japan, you really don't think too much about current generation consoles in addition to PC. Japan, they do like their PlayStations and they do like their Nintendo products, but for the most part they're more handheld focused, so I don't really expect them to jump on the current gen bandwagon as fast as most of the other developers did. And especially PC, this is a big deal. It's a really big trend. We've seen a lot of developers, Western and Japanese, jump on the PC bandwagon, which is pretty cool. You know, it gives more people the opportunity to experience this game. And with Tales, this being the first in the series to come up on PC, that's really exciting for the future. I mean, not just counting Tales, we've also had the Naruto Shippuden Storm game show up on Steam. We've had Dragon Ball Xenoverse pop up on Steam, the Hyperdimension Neptunia, we had Killer is Dead. Man, what else do we have on there that I'm missing? We had Kiba's Trip. I mean, we had so many Japanese games. The older classic Final Fantasy games are now on Steam. I mean, it's just crazy. It took a while, but a lot of Japanese developers are kind of catching on to it. Granted, this doesn't mean just throw out your PlayStation 3 and PlayStation 4, because, you know, these are, if you something you've noticed, these are pretty much smaller tier games. They're not big AAA budget games. And even when they would release them, like the Final Fantasy 13 trilogy, that was years after they've already released the other ones and made their budget back. So all I can say is, well, I think we are going to see a better track record of Japanese developed games on PC. It all comes down to you guys supporting it. I mean, if you want to see all this stuff, you got to get out there and tell them, hey, we want this on PC. We want better versions on PC, because it doesn't stop there. I mean, they can put it on PC, but it could be broken beyond belief, which is something I do not want for Tales of Zestiria, considering that the PlayStation 3 version, from what I've seen, it was pretty much plagued with some technical issues, some frame rate slowdowns, which we've seen in the Xillia games, but more so here, it wasn't running at a smooth 60 frames per second. And just things looked pretty bland-ish for a Tales game. So with the added hardware, I really do hope they take advantage of the PlayStation 4 hardware to make sure it's a smooth, steady 60 FPS with no frame drops. And I mean, with the PC, come on, sky's the limit. So provided you give the PC modders the tools they need, I think we're going to be okay with Tales of Zestiria. If you're interested in checking out Tales of Zestiria for yourself, it's going to be released in Europe and North America this October on PlayStation 4, PC, and yeah, I guess it still is coming out on PS3. Don't know why you'd want that now. Since we're still on the topic of Bandai Namco, we might as well talk about another one of the games that they have coming out, and that's Dragon Ball Z Ultimate Butoden or Extreme Butoden, one of the two. You know how crazy they are with these names. The game recently launched in Japan, and a lot of us were wondering if it was ever going to make an appearance outside Japan. Well, we actually got not necessarily confirmation, but it's more or less a confirmation, because once these things pop up, well, it's pretty much just that. On an Australian website, there was a listing for Dragon Ball Z Extreme Butoden for the Nintendo 3DS. And as you guys know with these listings, for the most part, when they do come out, they're 95% true. I mean, there have been some weird examples here and there with like Brazilian rating systems where they rated a couple of games like One Piece Pirate Warriors 3 and all that stuff for the Xbox 360, which we know was probably never going to happen. Factually never going to happen. What am I talking about? But for the most part, when these things do pop up, the games actually do show up on the platform. And in this case, it's localization. So I'm far more inclined to believe this than it was something like, I don't know, Bloodborne showing up on PC, which again, we know is never going to happen, but people believe those things. So I think we're definitely going to get an announcement for Dragon Ball Z Extreme Butoden probably at E3 this year. If not E3, knowing Bandai Namco, it's just going to be another blog post. But regardless, I'm very excited for this game, considering that it's a Dragon Ball Z game that we really haven't seen in a very long time. I mean, a traditional handheld fighter. I mean, when was the last time we really played anything like that? The last handheld Dragon Ball Z game I remember playing was Battle of Z, and it's a thing, I guess, but it's been a very long time since we had a traditional Dragon Ball Z fighter, especially coming from a developer as prolific as Arc System Works. So I'm very glad that this is most likely coming out localized, considering the fact that the 3DS is region locked. I probably would have never gotten the chance to play this game unless I imported a Japanese 3DS, which I don't want to do for just one game, so I guess I would have had to wait for emulation, but we don't have to do that now. So Dragon Ball Z Extreme Butoden, possibly, most likely, coming out outside Japan. So wait for official confirmation. And in the final news story for the day, again, not really an announcement per se, but clarifying on something that we've wanted to see for damn near 2 years now, and that is Ratchet Clank. You guys know that Insomniac Games were working on a lot of things in the Ratchet Clank universe. There was the movie they announced 2 years ago that was going to be a big budget theatrical release, and there was a PlayStation 4 game tied in with the movie that they were also working on. But you know, it's been a very long time since we've heard anything about it. I mean, we saw a trailer at E3 last year, but we never really saw anything about that, didn't hear anything about the movie, which led a lot of people to think that, okay, this thing is probably not going to happen. You know, they're going to release the game, but not the movie. It seems like it's in development hell. Well, we did get a lot of updates on the movie. First and foremost, as you guys know, it's been delayed into spring 2016, which pretty much sucks, considering that I was really anticipating this movie. You know, the first, video game animated movie to get excited about in a very long time. But that got pushed back to next year. Apparently it needs more polish. They added in a pretty, Hollywood-esque voice casting. They have a lot of famous people like Sylvester Stallone. I think Paul Giamatti is involved. Bella Thorne is on it as well. It's pretty awesome, though, that they were able to retain the original voice of Ratchet and Clank. I mean, like, you kind of can't have a Ratchet and Clank anything without, David Kaye and James Arnold Taylor. It's just kind of sacrilegious, dude. Don't do that shit. Don't do that. And I don't know why people insist on doing things like that. I think we'll be okay. I hope we'll be okay. I pray we're gonna be okay. To everybody's surprise, but at the same time not everybody's surprise, since every publisher seems to be doing this right now, Insomniac actually released footage prior to E3 of the brand new Ratchet & Clank game. And I gotta say, I was already anticipated for a new Ratchet & Clank game because I love the franchise. Ratchet & Clank is definitely one of my favorites. I own the original games, I own the PS3 remasters, I've played the newer games, the Future series. Haven't really been too pumped up on all the little side things they've been doing since, but I was really looking forward to this, and my god, they did not disappoint. When people said that the Ratchet & Clank Future series looked like a Pixar movie, a DreamWorks movie come to life, I believed that back in the day, but this one literally looks like a living, breathing CG world. It's just so beautiful. Not necessarily just the character models and such, but the environments and the backgrounds, and everything just looks so fluid, and it's just, whoa! For those who have never really been interested in the Ratchet & Clank series, this new game is not a reboot per se, but it's also not a sequel. It's more of a reimagining of the first game to tie it in with the movie that's coming out next year. I think that it's pretty funny that the game has this new tagline. It's the video game based on the movie, based on the game. I think that's pretty cool, considering they're trying to tie everything together in this Ratchet & Clank universe and definitely get a lot more people interested in it, because I've said this time and time again in the past, Ratchet and Clank, Jak and Daxter, Sly Cooper, all those franchises have the potential to be, you know, really a major success as an animated television series, animated movies. I think the general public would just eat that up, and not just, you know, the older crowd in the room who would watch it regardless, but I'm talking all the kids in the new generation, because Insomniac games they just have that humor in the Ratchet and Clank games that's very fun. It's awesome for all ages. It's not dumbed down for kids making stupid jokes that you would see on some of the things like on Cartoon Network, Nickelodeon, and Disney Channel nowadays. It's just genuinely good humor. It's the stuff they used to see back in the day. And I think one of the most interesting parts about it is that while you can pre-order it right now for PlayStation 4, it's going to be available at a discounted price of $39.99. Which kind of had me by surprise, because you don't really see too many games at that cheap price. And I know that's had a lot of people go crazy in the comments section saying that, oh, there must be a reason this game is so cheap. Is it going to be like a 3-hour campaign? Is that why it's 40 bucks? But no, Insomnia Games actually came out and confirmed it's going to be a full-length Ratchet and Clank game. So the things that you were expecting from the older games, the future games, that's what you're going to be getting in this one. And it's going to be released at a discounted price, which is pretty freaking sweet. I mean, you don't see that really happen in the industry, especially for big budget AAA games. We've seen, I think, Puppeteer was a budget release, $39.99. You know, you have Ratchet and Clank, and there were a couple of other things here and there. But you really don't see cheaper games unless it's like a re-release or an HD remaster. So I'm just really hoping that this game turns out for the best. It looks visually stunning and impressive, and it was running at 30 frames per second, but it looked pretty solid and locked. So I think this might be one of the few exceptions where 30 is okay for this time around, but not to sound like a PC graphics or even more than I am. I think that if this thing is successful at that price range, it might prompt a lot more developers to actually release games at cheaper prices, if that means more people are going to check it out. And I just think that the whole $60 price tag and the stuff that we've seen before really not necessarily scares people away, but it prompts them to wait on it, which is always a good thing. But it's one of those things where you're damned if you do it, damned if you don't. You're damned if you release it at a cheaper price because people think you have no content in it, and at the same time, if you don't release it at a cheaper price, you're looked at as ripping the gamers off. I don't get it, but Insomniac, just stick to your guns and have fun with it. That's pretty funny considering, you know, Insomniac, guns, pew, 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 pew. I just hope this new game has multiplayer. If it doesn't, and that about wraps up this week's vlog, ladies and gentlemen. My name is NGS. Thank you so much for tuning in this week. If you want to follow me on any social media accounts, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, want to contact me directly for business inquiries, as all the cool kids would say, you can find all that stuff down below in the description. So a couple of videos to look out for. Like I said, E3 is next week, so I'm going to be doing wrap-up videos of all 3 of the major console conferences, in addition to a wrap-up video as a whole at the end of the week. I don't necessarily think I'm going to be able to get them out as the conference releases, because unfortunately I'm going to be working during that time period. I thought I had the days off, but since I started a second job, you know, I just couldn't get out of it in time, which is all cool. You guys can still expect the videos to be uploaded. Anyway, from me to you for now, I'm NGS signing out, and my phone is just going off. So I guess that's a good way to end the video. I'll catch you guys later. Peace.